Hey guys, welcome back to DCS, and I'm going to be doing a P-51 Mustang takeoff and landing tutorial. So, I just landed right now, and I was intending to go on back and park, which is why I had the boost pump turned off. That's part of your after landing checklist, is boost pump off and coolant and oil flaps open. But I decided I would do a couple of quick laps, show you guys some 3-point landings and wheel landings. This airplane's pretty easy to keep straight compared to the Spitfire, but it does take a little more finesse to get those 3 points and wheelers just right. So anyway, I'm taxiing back, and Mustang's easy to taxi. You can just hold your stick back a little bit to lock the tail wheel, and it's steerable 6 degrees left or right. To unlock, you push it all the way forward, and you can see it kind of wants to go left a little bit. But you would use your brakes to keep her going straight. But so for now, we're going to keep it locked in a locked position. We're going to taxi on back, and then we'll do our before takeoff checklist. Now the Mustang is a relatively, I would say it's a draw between the P-47 and the P-51 in the DCS as to which one is easiest. I would say the P-47 is probably a little more forgiving to rough landings. The Mustang does not handle them as well. The Spitfire is very easy to wheel land or 3-point, but where the Spitfire is more difficult is to keep it straight. So if you don't pay attention to that, the Spitfire is harder in that sense. But this airplane I have found out of the Warbirds is probably the most difficult to wheel land. You got to get it just right. Because otherwise this airplane is quite easy to bounce. Alright, so some light braking right here. Nice and easy. And we'll increase power just a little bit there, up to about 1,000. Alright, so we'll do our before takeoff checklist. So flaps, 10. Reset your trims, so go 6 degrees to the right on your rudder trim. Elevator trim, I set about a degree forward of neutral. Ailerons neutral. Props forward, mixture set to run, boost pump is on, left tank is selected. Fuel's on, mags are on, and everything's set here like we want it, and this is less than 100 amps on the draw. So we're good there. So pretty simple pre-takeoff checklist. And of course there'd be other things you would do if you were actually going to go out and fight, but this is just going to be takeoff and landing. So we'll push the stick forward to unlock the tail wheel, give a little bit of right brake to unlock it, and then don't hold the right brake, just put enough to unlock it, and then add some left rudder to counteract. Because the airplane's going to keep turning left if you don't, or keep turning right if you don't stop it. You have to actively stop it from turning. Really gentle on the brakes here. Still with the tail wheel unlocked. Now we're going to bring it back to the lock position. You can feel it lock in there. And come to a stop. So, just going to hold the stick back and just give corrections as you see it. Look out here and use your peripheral vision to keep these 2 triangles, if you can call those triangles, pizza slices, whatever, the same size on either side. Don't look straight on top of the nose. Don't look out left or right, because that's the direction you're going to go. You kind of want to be looking out in here and using your peripheral vision left and right. If you look in either direction, that's the way you're going to go. So here we go. We're going to start by running it up to 30 inches here, just to get going. Smooth application of power. Nice and smooth, and bring it on up. Quick kicks on the rudder. And all the way up to 61. Alright, so here we are. We're going to pull back to 46. And and 2700. We're gonna leave our vents open and leave the flaps down, or the 10 degrees in, because we're gonna stay in the pattern. Use your rudder trim here, and just keep an eye on your temps. So we'll start our left crosswind here. It's pretty good altitude. And I'm going to pull on back to about 30 inches or so. And we're just going to stay in the pattern. Alright, so we'll put in our second notch of flaps. And this first one's going to be an attempt at a wheel landing. And we'll put our gear down. And third notch of flaps. To get down about 150, verify that your gear is down. Takes about 10 to 15 seconds to lock fully into place. And we'll start bringing power back. Ensure that your propeller RPM is set to 2700, and it is. Gas is on, undercarriage is down, mixture is set, and prop is set, and seat and seat belts are secure. It's a good time to ensure that your rudder trim is good. That's going to help side drift, so make sure that ball is centered. So at this point we're going to reduce power. We want to just do kind of a curved approach here. And I'm going to attempt to do the wheel landing with full flaps. Usually I do it on 3 notches, but I'm going to try it on full 50 degrees. So we're going to add in our 4th notch of flaps there. Just kind of keep the turn going. Trim as you need to. We want to be shooting for about 115, 120 miles an hour. On final, stay coordinated. Alright. So here's going to be our last notch of flaps. Don't jockey the throttle, pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. Nice and easy is what we want here. Still a little fast, so I'm going to pull off some throttle and pull back a little bit. We're still pretty fast here, so I'm going to have to bleed off a little bit of speed. There's what we want. Go ahead and start your flare. And bring your power off, and a little bit of forward pressure, and now we're going to pin the tail and stick all the way back. Roll out. Don't overuse your brakes. Quick kicks on the rudder, be deliberate, and stop the ground loop before it even starts. Keep flying the airplane. It can get away from you at any time. Okay, so now that's done. We'll open the canopy. We'll raise the flaps, just like that. We're going to unlock the tail wheel and come on around. And we'll do one more. And we'll make it a wheel, a 3-point landing. Alright, after landing checklist, everything's still open there. If you were taxiing back, boost pump would be off, and raise your flaps as your after landing checklist complete, and then obviously reset your trims. I'm going to go ahead and throw 10 degrees back in, and we'll go ahead and reset our trims here while we're taxiing, just to kind of speed things up. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. So yeah, that's what you want to do. When you come in, you want to have a nice stabilized approach. And what is a stabilized approach? Basically you're coming in and you're not having to pitch your nose a lot to recapture your airspeed, or jockey your throttle to arrest your descent, or you have an excessive descent rate to a minimal descent rate, or a minimal descent rate to an excessive. You want to see a nice, smooth descent rate all the way down. You want to keep your nose pitched for your airspeed and kind of keep your power set. And just use pitch to do most of the work. Because you want to be touching down with basically 0 feet per minute. If you have any amount of descent with the Mustang and you come in and set down and you will land, you're just going to bounce the thing. And you also, the other thing too, is to, once you touch down, you want to actually release that back pressure, even giving a little bit of forward pressure to kind of pin that main gear. And that's a real tail wheel technique. You don't want to do it too much, or you'll actually you'll actually start porpoising the airplane. So, all right. So before we take off, we're just going to verify everything's set. We got our flaps. Carb air controls are set, we're open, trims are set, boost pump is on, mags are on both, fuel, we're on the left tank. Everything's set over here, props full forward, mixture is set. And we're going to take off and do a 3-point landing. Alright, I'm a little bit off to the right here, but that's okay. Alright, going to do the same technique. We're going to get right into it. I'm not going to do much talking here. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. There's a lot happening in a short pattern with a warbird like this. So I've already got my second notch of flaps in. Alright, and now we're going to go gear and third notch. Alright, you want to verify you got gear down. Keep trimming, keep trimming. Trim is your friend in a warbird like this. Use your checklist so you don't forget anything. Gas is on, left tank, undercarriage is down and locked, mixture is set. Propeller is set at 2,700 RPM, seat belts are secure, landing checklist complete. The other thing in a Mustang is you would also make sure you have your K-14 gun sight on fixed so you don't damage the gyro. Alright. Keep trimming here. Consistent airspeed, consistent power, nice descent here, nothing too crazy. Alright, hit 45 off the shoulder. We'll start a nice swooping turn in here. Lead with your rudder, this is a rudder airplane. 40 degrees right there. That turn going. Nice stable descent rate here. Bring off a little more power. And there's full flaps, 50 degrees of flaps. This thing has absolute barn doors for flaps. Stay coordinated. Start looking down the runway. Alright, we're going to start coming into our flare here in a second. This is going to be a attempted 3-point landing. So start your round out here and power off. There it is, all three at the same time. A little bit of quick rudder inputs there to stop it. You can see the nose start to move, so and push your prop back to full forward. A little bit of brake here. Keep the stick all the way back. There we go. And all the way forward. After landing checklist, boost pump comes off. And everything is open there. And prop goes back to full forward. Alright. There's your after landing checklist complete. And then if you had on any pitot or gun heat, you'd want to turn that off. Or any sort of lights, you want to turn those off, because those the bulbs in those days would actually... Ooh, I hit my flaps button and they didn't come up. There they go. Always verify. So, yeah, you'd also want to turn off any pitot heat or lights, because it would actually just end up overheating on the ground. If you had any lights on, it would just overheat the plastic and melt it off. So, no such thing as LEDs in those days. And we'll cage the gyro here. Overall, a very sweet airplane to fly. It just handles wonderfully. It's a dream on the escort missions. It's just, I see why it was so loved. And we'll spin around here. Whoops, too much. Trying to fly a shopping cart. Alright. Set your parking brake. Turn off your electrical. Run up to 1500 RPM. Right about there. Lower your flaps all the way down. And mixture off. And below 700 RPM, we're going to slowly start opening the throttle. Get some fuel into the cylinders for next time. You can hear it trying to catch again there. All the way, and bring everything back. I usually turn back to the fuselage tank. And I will flip those back to closed. Go ahead and filter your carburetor, turn your fuel off, and I'll show you all that last. Flip the battery off. Then what we'll do is we'll flip the hydraulic release valve here. So we'll flip that. That kills my hydraulic pressure and actually lets these clamshells come down. And that's how you determine on a Mustang if somebody has actually released the hydraulic release valve and there's no pressure on the system. What that does is basically allows you to keep from pulling the gear up on the ground because there's no pressure in the system. So if you're in an air show or somewhere and you ever see a P-51 and the clamshells are up, you walk up to the pilot and tell him, "Hey bud, you left the hydraulic release valve pushed in." I wouldn't actually do that, but I wouldn't actually walk up and tell somebody that. But hey, now you know if you didn't before. So, and I imagine most of you watching this video already play DCS and you know what the heck I'm talking about. So, anyway, that was a kind of a quick tutorial for the Mustang on wheel and 3-point landings. I mentioned this in my Spitfire tutorial, but for any of those of you that are struggling with takeoffs and landings in these Warbirds, and you've got rudder pedals, which I highly recommend for doing something like this, remove or stretch out. One of my subscribers actually had a great tip, was to, if you wanted to retain some tension on your rudder pedals, you could actually stretch out the springs and what it will do is not try to recenter your feet all the time. I mentioned that in my Spitfire video about, I want to say probably around a year and a half, 2 years ago. I just removed the springs from my pedals, and that just makes a huge difference. It allows your feet to be so much more fluid, and it's not always trying to recenter your feet, so a lot more realistic in that sense. So if you want to recenter the pedals, you are doing the recentering. So anyway, that's a really good tip for any of those of you that have rudder pedals and are struggling with these things, keeping them straight. It's really not too hard, just gotta stay on top of it, and stop the ground loops before they start. You gotta anticipate the airplane and what it's wanting to do. So anyway, I'll shut up now, and if you guys gained anything from this video, let me know in the comments, and yeah, go practice. So anyway, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.